then that will be able to assist the students, because that is what we are now looking at. You see that the costs that, for example, you are paying for a BA program, which is currently at 122. And remember, what we have noted is that some of these programs, if you actually look at the number of students who are in those programs, then you can be able to maybe have a small concession to support these students so that they don't pay a lot. However, the fees that has been paid in the universities over the years, since 1989, the official fees is 16,000. What Kenyans pay in a national school today is 53,000. So it is cheaper in the university than in a national school.
But it's only cheaper on paper. When you actually go there, that is not the price.
And that is what I'm saying, that we need to have, and that is why we don't want them to pay much, much more. He has talked about accommodation at 42,000, and that is the reality. And the model had capped so that there is no extra fees that these students are paying. So if you are saying 16,000 on paper, but you are being charged more, that should not be the case.
So the model had the ones on the fault here. Are they the ones who are going against the law, or are they the ones exploiting the students?
At that point, when they were paying 16,000, other charges came in. And that is why we had to have a discussion with them, and we agreed that the fees will not be able to change. If you look at the new funding model, they are not charged any extra fees. So that if a student is paying a certain amount, that is the only amount they'll pay.
Okay, they're here to answer. Are you charged any extra fee?
Yeah, I want to assure you, actually, these first years and second years, apart from the fees that they're paying from the new funding model, they're also paying the extra fees of accommodation. So
yeah, I said accommodation, they do pay.
Unless you agreed on paper, but on ground they are charging, as you've just said. But on ground they are paying the fees plus the extra accommodation fees.
No, accommodation, I've said, because you choose the accommodation you go to. You cannot dictate.
The one in the school premises.
Yes, but what we are saying is that previously, if you look at the model you are in, you are paying 16,000, and then you are given computer fees. At the end of the day, how much total amount were you paying?
For me, I'm still paying 26,000 shillings per semester, so roughly 52 per year.
You see, on paper, that fee should be 16,000. That is why I'm saying, if you have that about 50,000, if you translate the same amount to a student who is in this other new funding, you'll find the figures are the same.
But wait, just explain that a bit more clearly. So he's paying 52, is he supposed to pay 52 or not?
What I'm saying is this, he's paying 52, he should pay 52 because there are other charges.
Okay.
The universities charge, there's library fees and many other charges, isn't it?
Yes.
Ideally, the tuition fees is 16,000 plus those other charges. In the new model, there is no extra charges. The only amount you pay is that tuition fees and the accommodation. He still pays 50,000 plus accommodation, isn't that right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is this. In the new funding model, if you are paying 52, if you are if you have funded the most, ideally, even the tuition amount you'll pay, for example, if I take, even if it's the highest medicine, which is at 612, if you, at that 612, you will only pay 30,000, which is lower than what he is paying. That is if you are in band 1. But if you are in band 5, then you pay about 244,000. And that is where the problem is. And that is the conversation they are talking about. Why can't we look at band 4 and 5? And we are saying we need to look at them. And by look at them is that when we look at the cost of 612, is it the ideal cost? That is where we start from. Do we need a stabilization fund? For example, to say that since we need doctors or these engineering courses, then can we have a stabilization fund? And we say that we will support them extra so that maybe each of these programs we can add another 50,000. And those are the views that have been given to the committee. So that is why I'm saying it is work in progress. We have heard the students and we are working on these proposals so that at the end of the day, when you are funding a student, the full cost of that program is paid, so that when Mazayo comes out of the University of Nairobi, he is a university student or now a graduate who is fully backed. Because the argument that we have heard from our colleagues is that if you fund DUC, we are currently funding DUC at 38%, then you expect to get a student who is 38% fully prepared, not 100%. So when they join the workforce, it means the new employer will start training these students again. And that's why I said it's a bigger conversation. It is something that we need to work on as a team. Yeah. We should not say that it is ended now. And I can tell you what the students are bringing out has really assisted us.
In Kenya, we have seen how the university funding model has always been a very big question and a very big talk of the country. Ever since the Kenya Kwanza regime came in, they have come up with different policies and different plans which they want to use while running this government. First of all, in 2023, they started out with the housing levy, something which Kenyans have never seen on their pay slip. But down the line, they have come up with another policy, which was the university funding model. However, there were sources claiming that the courts had said that it was unconstitutional and there was no public participation which was done on this matter of the university funding model. And we even saw some politicians like Mr. Richard Onyonga who are at the forefront to try and defend this financing bill, saying that it was very bad, and he was really coming out to call out Kenyans to come in large numbers and try to oppose this finance bill. However, down the road 2025, there are sources saying that there is a new plan for the university funding model, and the question is, how is life going to be? Because at the moment, education is becoming expensive and expensive and expensive as days goes by. And if it becomes more expensive and more expensive, then definitely majority of the Kenyan youths will be locked out. And there is alleged conspiracy theory which is saying that there's a plan to keep the youths poor. But I really don't know, or it really doesn't matter. But the reality is that some of these things are really going to be not that very good for Kenyans, because if they, why will just a government come in and quash out the former existing university funding model which was in place? At the moment, we have seen that more university has just fallen 40 years down the line, and yet no other government has ever made it fall except for this government, and it's only 2 years which the government has been in office.